I ain't fucking kidding you. I drove this bitch until the fucking wheels fell off.
How's it going, everybody? I'm back and coming at you, and I think it's Wednesday actually today, but time for the weekly update. And hey, if you're brand new, really quick, this is where I go through the ups and the downs of building your passive income lifestyle. And on this channel, I teach you three things: how to increase your income, how to create freedom for yourself, and ultimately how to design that ultimate lifestyle. So if you're brand new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and turning bell notifications on. All right, those of you who've been following on Facebook and Instagram, man, what a wild last couple days. I'm going to get to the whole wheel falling off at 130 kilometers an hour on the highway and all of that craziness in a second. Want to give you some updates on on just the business and what we were doing up in the States and all of that fun jazz. But man, it's been a wild last few weeks for sure. But business stuff, things are going good. We got public. I'm trying to think back from my last update on where I kind of left off with everybody, but we got. I think I've published 2 books since then. In the last week or so. One, I just got back from a writer, and I just gotta go through it and just tweak it a little bit, and then that'll be good to go. And it's funny because this one it's actually a re-release of a book that I did. I mentioned this inside the Facebook group, that you get with my self-publishing blueprint, but I launched a book a few months ago, and I just kind of messed up with the whole formatting, or not. It's just quality assurance. The info in it was not as detailed as it should have been for just, I guess, what people have been expecting, and got hammered with negative reviews. But I tried to tweak it a little bit. That helped a bit, but it's still just getting it's like a 2.6, 2.7 rating on Amazon. But the damn thing still brings in a few $100s a month. So, but we completely redid it from the ground up, brand new, complete from the ground up. It's twice as long now, and it's a pretty massive book. So, just looking at relaunching that over the next 2 weeks, and once I get it ranked properly, hopefully I should be able to, because currently that one book is like number 2 up on Amazon, and all for the keyword, right? So just got to get this one right, and hopefully within a week or 2 it should be right there, and then I'll probably just unpublish the other one. That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. So it'll probably take a bit of an income hit short term, but long term it's a better thing to do for business. So that's what it's all about, right? It's about doing what's going to be best for the business long term, not doing no point in doing short term tactics or loopholes or anything like that. That's just not what I'm about. So but so that's cool. And so things are going great. But let's kind of get into why you probably clicked on the video, huh? All right, so we go up to the States to do some do some shopping, right? That's why people go to the States from Mexico. Do some shopping, check out civilization, and it's loved it. It was a fun trip, right? I just love going to the States, and Texas is by far, if you're from Texas, you live in the best part of the USA, 100%. I love Texas. Everything about Texas is just cool. It's big. It's, I love that state because it's so different than all the other parts of the U.S. It's just love that Texas atmosphere and the Texas love and everything about Texas. It's cool. So who knows? Maybe I'll end up moving there one day. But yeah, so it's great. So we drove up. We're about 2.5 hours from the border here. So we drove into McAllen, Texas, is where we're at. Just it's a border town, right? So But man, the drive up was freaking awesome. Like I'm telling you, like we took toll roads. It's about $30 or so in tolls, I think we paid. And so you're on a nicer highway. And man, shit, I was telling Marianne, I was like, shit, if we're still living here when we pick up the Porsche in a bit, I think like we have to be here because like Mexico, those speed limits. So like it's just like, damn, you could like the roads are just long, straight, and flat, and like I'm like fuck, you just kill it on these roads with a, and so we were killing it in the Mazda. We were just, taking our time. Plus, we had the family on board and everything. But I was just telling her, like, oh, man, this is like the first place I'm going to come to once we get the Porsche, rip on these streets. Just freaking awesome. And it was just so cool, being able to drive. Probably just, kept it under our, kept it under, I think, $140. 140 kilometers an hour. It's like 95 miles an hour for you American folks. Are you guys really the only country that still uses miles an hour? I think you might be, right? Let me know in the comments. Is there another country that still uses miles an hour? But anyways, so yeah, it was an awesome drive, and it's so neat. I think crossing borders from countries by land is one of the most unique experiences ever, because you literally just see changes in infrastructure instantly, changes in just everything instantly. It's just like night and day, especially a country like Mexico and the US. I'm sure down in South America, going from country to country, it might not look quite different, right? But there's Mexican standards and American standards, so things instantly change. Like hell, there's a bridge that you cross, and it's between, it's like the border bridge type of thing, and it could have been a visual play on the eyes, but when we were coming back in, we noticed, I'm like, I swear to God, the fence just changed, because it tells you when you're crossing over the actual border, the borderline. And it looked like the fence just changed. The painting on the roads changed. And, but like the chain link fence that goes along the entire side, it looks like it changed. But looking like it changed, coming in Mexico, it got shittier. And that's not, it's just the fact of the matter is, when you come in the States, or you come in Mexico from the States, things just get shittier, okay? It's just how Mexico is. But, just saying that, and one of the big things we noticed was like Texas, big open spaces, wide roads, and all of that fun jazz. And right as soon as you get back into Mexico, everything's like, closed, and it's dirtier, and it's, and don't get me wrong, Mexico has its beauty, just not around here. But yeah, it was really neat. And hell, I'll even post a picture up here of when we're at the border. Good God, the border. It's we cross the border, we get in, and they pull us over to just inspect, right? And it's a DWB, driving while black, and plus the car has Canadian plates on it. It's a little weird, and we come in, and then cars start lighting up behind us. So what did they do? They open up the cones, and they just start letting people through. No inspection, no passport, no nothing. He's just waving people, and I'm watching, right? Because I'm just watching, and I'm watching, and he's just waving people through. A van goes through, just puts his flashlight up to the tinted windows, checks inside, doesn't go inside, just okay, go through. And it's just so funny watching, right? Compared to in the States, the only time I've been waved through the border in the States without stopping is when I have my Nexus pass. That's like a speed pass from U.S.-Canada border, or it's just trusted travelers type of thing. And it was just so funny to watch. It's just completely random on whether or not they check you. Like anybody could have been coming in to they could have been smuggling guns, drugs, people, whatever, and they just weren't checking the majority of the cars. And that's how Mexico is. There's just like standard procedure is not standard here. It's just people just kind of do whatever the hell they want. There's no set rules of how stuff is done. But even, I think I said I'd post that picture, but to kind of give you an idea, right? You could go to the States, stuff's like signage, like they like highway signs and stuff. It's all, you can read it. Whereas you come to Mexico, you see that sign, I'll pop it up here. That's like at customs. You can't even read the bloody sign. And that's like at the front of the country. Like that's the welcoming party, so to speak. Right. And I don't know, those are stuff I've noticed. But if you're ever interested on what it's like living in Mexico, I could do a video. But let me know in the comments if you care to hear about that. But, you know. But, okay, so we're driving home, right? We're driving home. And the last day, no, pretty much once we crossed the border into the States, I started noticing something like a little tick, 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 tick. Well, I'm driving. I'm like, what the fuck's that? And, can't figure it out. So I'm like, I'm checking the tires and, checking underneath. And I'm like, is it something with the steering? Is it something with the suspension? Is it something with, can't figure it out. So the whole, pretty much the second half of the trip, I was checking it. And, it was slightly getting a little louder, and you could tell it was something to do with the wheel or because it would happen almost every rotation, right? That's the timing that we kind of judged it at. And so after the first hole, which is about 100 kilometers in, I don't know how many miles that is, probably 60 miles actually, right? 0 to 60s. Yeah, 60 miles or so. I pull over and I go under the car and, I'm checking the wheels and everything. And, in the back of my head, I was like, fuck, I could just see catastrophe, maybe it's, I don't know a lot about cars per se, but, something just steering the whole freaking wheels fall off, right? And I'm like, oh, well, so whatever. So I'm keeping the speed 120, 130, not going too fast. And, not using cruise control on the way back because, I was anticipating, I'm like, fuck, if something happens, don't want to be on cruise control, right? So I was paying attention, readiness, I guess you would call it. And then all of it, and then it was getting louder and I'm like, what the hell? And in my mind, I thought, oh, fuck, I should check the lug nuts, right? Just random thought, oh, check the lug nuts. And I forgot to check them when I got out at the toll to just double check them. And I bet if I remembered to check them there, I would have seen that they were fucking gone, missing, or whatever was a problem. No, they weren't stolen because there's a lock. So we'll get to what I think caused this issue in a second. But, so I'm like, whatever. So we're driving and then Mariana's like, it's getting louder. I'm like, it is getting louder. And now I'm starting to feel in the steering wheel a little bit. And so, and then we go over bumps and and starting to feel it and hear it now. Right. And I'm like, shit, it is the suspension. And literally, I think it happened a couple, maybe 30 seconds after. I'm like, fuck, I think that is something to do with the suspension. I was telling her. And then all of a sudden, I just hear this psh, psh, and I look up to the left, and there's just fucking sparks flying up. Mariana's and then I see you've probably seen tires bounce, right? I just see this fucking thing just bounce, and I was like, it's going faster than we're going, right? Because I took the foot off the gas, and this tire's just Mariana's looking. I'm like, look, that's our fucking tire. That's our fucking tire. And so I start slowly pulling over to the left, never hit the brakes. You start pulling over to the left, and she's like, no, right. And there was a semi there, and we're trying to figure out if I actually passed the semi, or if we passed the semi before it happened or whatnot, because I remember checking and there was a semi just right behind us. And she's pretty sure, I'm pretty sure we passed the semi after the wheel fell off, and we're probably going about 130 or so kilometers an hour when it happened. And we crossed what do you call those divots in the road where it's for sound vibrations, right? So if you drive on them, it's brrr, right? And so we crossed those, and I guess that I don't know if Julian Alejandro was up by this time or whatnot, but we crossed it, and because it was the freaking rotor on them. It was like so loud. She was like, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, she's loving it and having fun. It's an adventure. And so anyways, so we get over and, we get on, as soon as we got onto the grass, all of a sudden, then the rotor and everything just like dug into the grass and dug into the ground. And that's what stopped us. Right. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I tell her, I was like, all right, call your dad to come get another car out here right away and get a tow truck. There's 2 things we need right now. So, she did that. And then I got out of the car, secured the location, made sure we were as far over as we could be. And, made sure there was like no fire or anything like that starting up. And, because sparks, dry Mexican grass, right. And then, it was, and I'm like, where's my fucking tire at? Look at the wheel. It's all there, right? You've seen the pictures. I'll try to post them on this, but the wheel's there. As far, well, not the wheel, but the disc, the rotor for the brake, and everything's attached still. So I'm like, whoa, that's weird. What happened, right? And what turns out is, the lug nuts must have not been tightened properly. So the guy who I had some work done on the car a week ago, and he's in at 3. I just tried calling him to find out if they had to take the wheel off. And, this happened 2 days ago, and I'm still like, kind of pissed off about it. Not extreme, but, and so I didn't want to call him yet until we assessed what was going on with the car. It's at her dad's shop. And long story short, so what happened, I went, got the wheel back. And, when the tow truck came, we actually put the wheel onto the tire and he pulled it up onto the flatbed and it turns and everything. So like damage is like minimal. And I'll explain why I think that happened. But so damage is minimal and they actually say the car's drivable. And I, at the shop, they were just like, come grab it. And then I can take it to the mechanics. I said, well, make sure the brake works still, right? Because I'm not going to drive it with just the one working front brake. That's just, So, they're just going to test that out. But the wheel turns. You can hear a little scratching because the rotor's a little, scraped up. But here's why I think there was such minimal damage, right? Well, what's the worst thing you can do in a situation like that? When an emergency situation comes up, right, where you're about to lose control of the car, what's the fucking worst thing you can do? And this is one of the top reasons most people end up in accidents. They fucking panic and slam on the brakes. Worst thing you can possibly do. You smash into water, hit snow, wheel fucking falls off. Worst thing you can do is ever hit your brakes. Because what's going to happen, right? 2 things will happen. 1, that brake is going to instantly grab. Right? Instantly grab. It's going to stop that rotor because now there's nothing on, right? Because there's no tire there. So it's going to instantly grab. But more importantly, hitting the brakes, I'm going to shift all the weight onto the front of the tires, onto that one tire and onto the, right? So it's going to dig right into the pavement. It's probably going to swing the back end out and we will probably end up spinning that semi that we're unsure of where the hell it was. Sorry. Probably would have hit us. I don't know. Who knows? But it would have been a lot worse should I have panicked and hit on the brakes. Luckily, I've watched enough car accidents on YouTube and played in the snow enough times and, gone out with the buddies and, spun cars around on for fun. I know something about how to control it. So by not doing that, I'm assuming this, by not hitting the brakes, just kept it going, right? Let the foot off the gas. The rotor just kept spinning like there was still tire there. So it must have just kept spinning. That's why there was such little damage to it. That's the only thing I can imagine, because I thought the thing would have been ripped off or whatever, but it's not. So I don't know. I'll get, when I go see it, hopefully I could take some closer pictures and check it out and give you a bit more insight. But if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, so we do that. And to top this all off, let me tell you about the night before. The night before 1 p.m., Julio Alejandro wakes up with a fever of 102. And so we'd been up all night all night. Like, so the next day in McAllen, we were just freaking zombies. We were crouchy. We were happy. She was going up and down with her fever. So Mariana was stressing over that. And I was just in a crappy mood because of, no sleep. And then we had all of this happen as well. So it was just like one thing after another. We just wanted to get home, right? We didn't get home to like 10:30. But then the other danger was, there's certain things that you do in Mexico, right? Mexico's, it's a safe place, of course, just like any other place, but there's certain precautions you take. One of them, you don't drive highways at night, and you don't stop unless you need to. But because there's cartel around, bad guys, whatever the case is, right? But we're stopped middle of nowhere. We can't actually move. Right. So, at night, you don't put yourself in situations like that just because it's not like you're in Canada. You stop in the middle of nowhere. It's whatever. Plus, they have highway patrol and stuff like that. The States has highway patrol, but we didn't see any cops this entire trip, like none on the highway whatsoever. And that's just like I was telling Marianne, I'm like, that's so weird. Just driving for hours on the highway, not ever seeing one cop. They just don't do patrols and stuff like that. And so it's just different. So there's precautions you take, but we had protection on us, and I was that's why it was like the first priority was like, tell your parents, get here as fast as they can. We were about 40 minutes out of town, so they got there about 10 15 minutes before the tow truck did. And it's funny because her uncle called. We called the insurance company to send a tow truck. They called the guy, and then her uncle, her dad called her uncle to call a guy, and it ended up being the same guy. And he was telling her dad, it's like, oh yeah, no, I hadn't eaten, so I was just gonna eat for a little bit, and and then get going. Probably would have been a 3-hour wait, turned into an hour wait because her uncle called the guy and said, no, they're there, sitting on the side of the road, get there. And it's just telling Marianne, I'm like, shit like that just doesn't happen in. I can't speak for the States, but it just doesn't happen in Canada. Like, they pride themselves on response times. Whereas here, they pride themselves on doing whatever the fuck they want. Kind of pissed me off. If he understood English, I probably would have fucking told him off a little bit. Because it's like, I don't know. That's just Mexico, and that's just how a lot of Mexicans are here. They're just like, they don't really give a fuck about anybody other than themselves and immediate family. And especially on the road. They just don't give a fuck about anything here. So, it's interesting, but it's also a cultural difference, whatnot. But, bottom line is everyone's good. Car, relatively good. I don't think it's definitely not dead. I'm going to be driving that thing probably tomorrow. What am I going to do with the mechanic? So I'm going to call him, and we're going to talk. And, I'm going to basically take it from there. I'm going to find out if I won't tell him what happened, but, find out if they did have to kind of take the wheel off or do anything like that. I'm thinking on the phone, I'll tell him, I'll find out if and if he confirms that they did take the wheel off, I'm thinking I'm just going to show up in person with the car and have him deal with it then versus preparing him for me showing up and telling him what the fuck happened. Because either way, I'm gonna I hope it goes as smooth as possible because Ricardo's a mechanic. He's a really nice guy, and I would hate to have to ruin his fucking month. But bottom line is, I'm assuming somebody fucked up there and they didn't tighten the lug nuts or whatever happened. Because I've done 300,000 kilometers in that car, and no wheels have fucking fallen off. So, and they were working in that area of the car. So, it's not 100% sure his fault yet. Maybe it's just some sort of weird thing, but, yeah. So, the only reason I didn't call him yesterday, I was still, emotional about it. I don't like to dive into these things when there's, emotions. As you can probably tell, I'm kind of like getting pissed off about it as I talk about it. So I've learned from experience, I can be a hothead. So I like to go into situations, especially when I have a specific outcome coming out. you know, he's just lucky nobody got hurt, or you know, like it could have gone a lot worse, right? But I'll give you guys an update on that situation once it's done and dealt with. I ain't gonna bother getting a lawyer or anything like that. Like, he seems like, as long as, you know, if it is something he's gonna have to take responsibility for, as long, like, I'm just looking for admission of fault, right? And him saying shit. Like, I just want him to be apologetic if it was something that, you know, his shop is blamed for, or you know what I mean. I'm just looking for a little apology, a little, hey Emeka, I so sorry. Let me take care of it. Let me, you know, I'll fix up your rotor for you know, just a little love. That's all I want from him. I just fucking would hate to have to, you know, I'd hate to have to escalate shit for him. I just don't got fucking time for that. So, anyways, guys, hey, thanks once again for all your well wishes and everything on Facebook. Really appreciate that. All of you who are out in Monterey and you're messaging me, it's like, hey, do you need a ride or you need anything? Love you guys so much. Thank you for all of that. And yeah, till next time, everyone. We'll speak soon. Take care.